Good morning, everybody. Anna Fusco, elementary school teacher, elected Broward Teachers Union president. I stand in the great walls of New River Middle School. I'm standing with our interim superintendent, Dr. VICKIE Cartwright, school board member Sarah Leonardi, our state president of Florida Education Association, Andrew SPAR, and our national president, American Federation of Teachers, AFT, Randi Weingarten. We came out today through the invitation of the principal and our school board member and our superintendent, so we can show everyone what Broward is doing, what they are accomplishing, and every single thing that is happening in our Broward schools, entering into the classrooms, our students, wanting to be with their teachers, their friends. They shared such excitement today, showing the wonderfulness of what's going on in our Broward County Public Schools. It was an incredible feeling. Randy was excited, our superintendent was excited, our school board member was excited, I was excited, Andrew's excited. It was the feeling that these kids gave to us, that they are so happy to be back. It was just wonderful. I am gonna turn it over to our school board member, Sarah Leonardi, and you're gonna hear a little tidbit from each of us here, and Randy will wrap it up, okay?
Thank you, President Fusco, for that introduction, and thank you, President SPAR, President Weingarten, and Interim Superintendent Dr. Cartwright, as well as President Fusco, for being here today to highlight the amazing things that are happening right, just barely 3 weeks into school. We were in a classroom, kids were talking about underwater pressure and sea exploration and climate change and how to protect our oceans. And again, we're just 3 weeks into school. And so I think it's a real testament to the educators in Broward County, the administrators of this school, Principal Wessinger, and all of the hard work of everyone who makes schools go round in this district. And I'm just so glad we could be here in person safely, wearing masks. We didn't hear any complaints from kids wearing masks. They feel safe and secure in our classrooms. And so again, I just want to thank all of our educators and all of our students and families for sending their kids back, trusting us with their kids, and for being here today. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We're so thankful for having all of you here today. Today is just an example, a prime example of the partnership that we have with our local teachers at BTU, our union. We recognize as administrators, as board members, that the partnership is one that is critically important, and because my job as superintendent is to serve others and is to ensure that I'm removing barriers from others so that they can be as successful as possible, because we know that when our teachers are successful, our students are successful. And that is what it is all about. Every one of us, as you are hearing here today, we're educators. I myself started as a secondary band director, loved every minute of it. From there, went into administration, and I continued to teach. Why? Because that's where our heart is. And that is what helps us understand how to reach our students. And so I identify myself primarily as that teacher, and then secondarily as your superintendent. But again, we're very, very gracious for this opportunity, for everyone to be here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming in and talking with our students. I agree with you. When you see their eyes just light up, it's amazing, amazing. And we are very fortunate, again, to be able to have an environment that we can provide that safe environment to the best of our ability by implementing as many mitigation factors as possible. And I still say it again, our data still is indicating that this is working for us in keeping our students in school. So again, thank you all. We greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to turn this over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Cartwright. Hi, I'm Andrew SPAR. I'm the president of the Florida Education Association. An honor to be here. You know, what the superintendent was just saying, what the school board member said as well, this is what we should be doing. Focused on kids, focused on their learning and the excitement around learning. And that's what we just witnessed in a classroom. The excitement that kids have being back in school, learning, interacting with their friends, with their teachers, and just getting that world-class education that every child deserves, regardless of race, background, or zip code. And this is a challenging time. Everyone thought in the middle of this summer that we were going to return to a more normal school year. And there isn't a person out there who wasn't surprised and probably disappointed and certainly frustrated that the variant took hold here in Florida in a real way. We saw numbers go out of sight. We actually have 2 school districts in Florida right now. Taylor County in the Panhandle and, Gulf, thank you. Gulf County. So Taylor County and Gulf County are closed right now. These are school districts that don't have mask mandates, that are small rural communities, that are struggling with out-of-control COVID cases amongst their employees and amongst the students. And so what we need is we need more help. We need more support. This is a time for us to come together as a community and to really support one another, look out for one another. We need the governor to release the over $8 billion that he has at his disposal right now in federal money that should be coming down to school districts like Broward, that will help do some of the other mitigation factors that the superintendent was talking about. Making sure we have air purifiers in our classrooms, making sure the air conditioning systems are upgraded, making sure that we're able to COVID test more regularly, better contact trace. Those are things that are important. But even more important in some respects is making sure the learning keeps going. And that has been a real challenge as well, as we have had quarantines across the state, as we have had isolation happening across the state. We want to have the learning disruption minimized as much as possible. And so masks are only part of that. There's a lot more we should and could be doing together to make sure that our students are getting that education they deserve. It is a great honor that I will introduce the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randi Weingarten.
Thank you, Andrew. So, I'm just really grateful to be here. And what we are witnessing today in Broward at New River Middle School is the promise and the potential of public education. We walked into a classroom. We hadn't worked it out with the teacher beforehand. Miss Fay kind of looked at me and said, "Would you like to talk to the class?" And I said, "Of course, sure," being completely nervous about it. And out of the mouth of babes, you heard why we all teach. This is 3 weeks into the school year. The depth of the answers by our children about what they're learning, about marine biology, about the climate. This is why we teach. This is why we as educators have understood from pre-COVID that having kids together in community is really important. To learn resilience, to deepen relationships, to learn together, to build on it. And so our North Stars have been, how do we make every school a place where parents want to send their kids, educators want to work, and kids thrive? And in this pandemic, our second North Star has been, how do we make it safe? And how do we make it welcoming? Now, this is not ideological. This should be everybody's North Star. Every state in this country, every territory in this country believes in public education. And from the American Rescue Plan that the president and the Congress sent down, they sent millions, billions of dollars to states and localities to make that promise real this year, to reopen schools, to keep them open, and to keep them safe. And yes, Delta was a curveball. And as Andrew said, I don't think any of us imagined on July 1st that we would be wearing these masks on September 2nd. We thought it was in the rearview mirror. We thought enough people would be vaccinated that we had conquered COVID. But with this variant, we haven't. But the other curveball is a lack of common sense by Governor DeSantis and Superintendent Corcoran. They need to be supporting this superintendent, this school board, our educators, supporting what we're doing. You see that the issues around politics is never in a classroom. We know that. We want our kids to be safe and welcome. We need them to be safe and welcome. We need parents to be assured that we're doing everything we can to keep their children safe. So that's why adopting the CDC guidance around the country, getting that money that Washington gave to Broward and other districts, let's not have this curveball of lack of common sense. At the same time, we are dealing with the curveball of Delta. There's enough that we need to do. But what you saw today, what we saw today, what we witnessed, I am seeing all across the country. This is the 20th state that I've been in since the beginning of August. Teachers want what children need. We need to be in school. We need to do it safely. We need to help make sure our kids have the ability, have the time, the resources for emotional, social, and academic recovery, and we need to do it safely. Thank you. Any questions?
Randy, I have two questions for you.
Just have 2 minutes.
Yeah. Two questions. One is, we're seeing what the governor's doing. We're seeing the punishment from Corcoran saying he's going to withhold the salaries of school board members in 2 counties. One is, what do you say to the governor when it comes to that? And then two, what's happening in DC that you can tell us that will help districts here locally and throughout Florida?
Well, first off, the governor and Corcoran are just wrong. They're morally wrong. And when people stand up to protect our kids, they will be found not only to be morally right, but ultimately they will be found to be right in all sorts of different ways. And so part of my being here today is to support those who are fighting to make sure our kids are safe. So that's number one. But number two, that's what Joe Biden, that's what Miguel Cardona are doing, and they will continue to do that. The money is there. A court has already said that these universal masking rules are reasonable. The CDC, the pediatricians have said we need to do this. So there are some times that you have to act on your conviction and in your morality. And I believe, as a very religious person, that they will come out and we will come out in a way that the superintendents will not lose because of what their moral convictions.
My question is, both my parents were educators, so I had a bigger family than I really knew because they had to bring some of that home when they left work, Given that, teachers are, in effect, parents in the classroom for the time that they have the kids with them. What do you say to the biological parents or the parents or guardians who advocate and argue, and in the case of what we saw at the school board building, they protest for their kids not to be protected with something as simple as a face mask? What do you say to them? Because you're on this side trying to protect the kids, and they're seemingly trying to protect their kids, but in a way that may put them in real harm's way.
So look, we can only do what we can do. which is that is why we're so grateful to this school board and this superintendent who have been supported by our union and by so many parents around Broward, and frankly, around the country. There have been two recent polls. 2/3 to 3/4 of parents in America support the universal masking as a way of being in school, keeping our kids safe, and staying safe. But I do think we have to have a little bit of empathy because everyone is trying to do the right thing. People have a right to protest. I don't think they have a right to bully. They don't have a right to incite. They don't have a right to intimidate. And you hear, I think that what the governor and Corcoran are doing are morally reprehensible. Having said that, the community has come together to say that at least for the time being, as this Delta virus is surging, this set of protocols are what we need to do to keep our kids safe, keep faculty safe, and keep everybody in school. And we're already now seeing evidence that the places that don't do that, that the thing that they said they really wanted to keep kids in school is not happening. They're closing down already. We're seeing that in California. California has done these universal masking with fidelity around the whole state. And all the public officials are there. That state opened in the same time as Texas and Florida. And that state, and I was there last week, has far fewer problems and issues in terms of closures or issues in terms of quarantines than Texas, Florida, and Arizona. So we're seeing the data, we're seeing the evidence, and ultimately, those of us who believe that public education is a sacred right for our kids, we're going to do everything in our power to keep our kids safe, knowing what we need to do, and to keep our faculty safe, and that is to keep on pushing for universal masking. And so for the parents who disagree, I would just, and I have talked to many of them on the phone, just said, I understand that you don't want masks. I understand the problem with masks. I'm an asthmatic. If there's not good ventilation, I have labored breathing when I have a mask on. But we're doing this for your kid, for all kids, and we're doing this to keep our community safe. And as much as I have respect that you want an off-ramp, and we should have that, let's right now, for this moment, have what unites us more than what divides us. And what unites us is having our schools open and staying open. And that's what I say to people, but I listen to what they say. And ultimately, I think that if the public officials would actually side with public safety, we would not have these problems. I think the issue is not the parents who are traumatized about what's going on. The issue is that a public official like Governor DeSantis won't